Hello again, YouTube family. Thanks for joining me on this video. If you're tuning in, this video is about the current popular term in right-wing vernacular, which is wokeism. Please, while you're watching the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's dive into this video. It's about a woman who wrote a book about the dangers of wokeism to our children. She went on to the Hills Rising show and then couldn't actually define the term itself. Embarrassing for her, but not surprising. So the term woke historically means people who are aware of the social and institutional injustices in the world, in a country, a state, wherever you're talking about. So woke is not a new term. It's just that the right wing has been twisting the term to mean whatever they dislike. That's basically what woke means in the modern right wing. It's whatever they don't like. If the dog is tolerant of the cat because it knows the humans likes the cat, then if a right wing person doesn't like that, then the dog is woke. You know, a company that tries to do more for inclusion, diversity, they're woke. You know, businesses that don't agree with right-wing legislation, they're woke. You know, the term woke means, for the right wing, anything they do not like. And the right wing today is based on fear and hate. That's what you get from the right wing. You watch right wing media, whether cable news, whether online pundits, it's all about pushing fear and hate of people, of places, of religions, of beliefs, of ideology. You know, it's fear and hate of the other, people that aren't like you. I mean, let's face it, the vast majority of the right wing in this country are white, predominantly male, and right-wing rhetoric is based on fear and hate. Woke is the current buzzword with the right wing. And as I said, it is just used to define anything that a right-wing person does not like. So this girl, Bethany Mandel, co-wrote a book with her co-author. Bethany Mandel is a right-wing religious person. She co-wrote this book, Stolen Youth, with a right-wing columnist. So Bethany Mandel is both a right-wing writer, and her co-author is also a right-wing writer. Bethany Mandel herself graduated from Rutgers in 2008, came out of Rutgers with a religious degree in religion, and immediately was looking for jobs in the political sphere, right-wing political sphere. She comes from a family that I believe it said was, one of her parents was Catholic, one was Jewish, but she comes out of a religious family. She comes out of college with a very right-wing religious perspective. She and her co-author wrote this book, Stolen Youth, and it's trying to fear-monger. Like I said, the right wing is about fear and hate. And it's trying to fear-monger about people indoctrinating your children with woke ideology. For Bethany Mandel, she has been a fundraiser and writer for the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation is a very right-wing think tank in Washington, D.C. It's been around for decades. I believe it was started in the early 70s. She has also written, she's edited the book series Heroes of Liberty, which are right-wing, it's a right-wing series of biographies about cultural and political right-wing figures. So basically, and I'm just speculating on this, but I'm 100% sure I'm correct that this book series, Heroes of Liberty, is a historic perspective trying to hold up right-wing political and cultural figures as being somehow greater than they really are. Previously, in 2015, she'd opposed Syrian refugees being settled in the United States. However, in 2021, she turned around and criticized Joe Biden for not moving fast enough to settle Afghan refugees in the United States. The key here is she's not a proponent of refugees. It's just that in 2021, she had an opportunity to criticize Joe Biden, which is the thing to do if you're on the right, because in actual fact, Joe Biden did not do enough to help the Afghans who helped the U.S. military while they were operating for 20 years in that country to come to this country. We had made promises, we didn't keep them. So she's not wrong on criticizing Joe Biden. It's just showing that she is an opportunist. She'll criticize Joe Biden over refugees when she has a track record of not being supportive of refugees, period. She opposed COVID-19 lockdown. She opposed mask mandates. Her husband, Seth Mandel, is also a conservative writer and lobbyist. And Bethany Mandel, the co-writer of the book, is a mother of 6. Her book is saying that liberals are targeting children with woke indoctrination. However, a recent USA Today poll, showed that 56% of Americans view woke as being a good thing. For Mandel, this is an opportunity to make money. Woke is the current buzzword in the Republican Party among right-wing nut jobs. And so to write a book about the dangers of wokeism to our kids is an opportunity to make money off this current buzz phrase. She went on the Hills show Rising, and Brianna Joy Gray, a co-host on the show, interviewing Bethany Mandel. Mandel started talking about woke when she, at the start of the interview, so Brianna Joy Gray asked her a simple question. Define woke for the audience so that we know what you're talking about. And this is the video that went viral when Bethany Mandel could not define the term for the co-host.
And probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, when we talk about traditional...
What does that mean to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. Woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. It's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Mrs. Mandel attempting to define woke. She couldn't do it, and she made the obvious conclusion that was going to go viral because she was asked to define specifically what her book was about, and she failed miserably. The next day after that show aired, that clip did go viral, and people got lots of laughs out of the fact that she can't define woke. And the problem is when you have a term that's so nebulous, that covers everything you don't like, it doesn't have a definition. It just means whatever I don't like. But the next day she tried to clear things up with a tweet, and she put out a tweet that says, "As for wokeness, here is an actual definition. A radical belief system suggesting that our institutions are built around discrimination and claiming that all disparity is a result of that discrimination. It seeks a radical redefinition of society in which equality of group result is the endpoint enforced by an angry mob." That is a very large word salad that means nothing much. I mean, our institutions have been built around discrimination. This country was formed with chattel slavery as a primary function within the country that created a lot of the work that was done, a lot of the wealth that was created. You had discrimination against many groups at the outset of this country, and that discrimination has been ingrained and has been continued even as we've tried to remove it from our systems. There are those, like Ms. Mandel, who fight against the efforts to remove it. And she had said that the wokeism was trying to reach an equality of group result as its endpoint, enforced by an angry mob, which is just nonsense. There's no angry mobs out here attacking anybody over the nebulous woke whatever she's talking about. But that idea of wanting equality of group results, that's not what people have been fighting for and what they're fighting for now. People want an equality of opportunity. Results are going to vary, obviously, and everybody understands that. The liberal left, political left, Democrat left, whatever you want to call them, is not trying to get an equality of outcome. What people are trying to get is an equality of opportunity, because in an equality of opportunity there will be the benefit of people, better outcomes across the board, and the outcomes are going to vary, but it's equality of opportunity is what people want. And following her stumble trying to clear up the viral disaster she had in the interview, other people tried to chime in, and so you have different people trying to come up with their definition of woke, and it's an example of woke doesn't mean anything. Woke means any people, institutions, ideologies, anything I dislike, that thing is woke because I dislike it. And so you got a number of different definitions. She put her word salad definition out. Other people try to put it out. Cody Johnston and his collection of some of the tweets that followed this disaster had put out that it's pretty entertaining to see conservative pundits confidently claim that woke has an obvious, concrete, and simple definition, but then still stumble over each other and disagree about what it actually means. So yeah, you had all these different right-wing people who were trying to come up with what woke means, and all they proved is that for the political right has a very nebulous, unclear definition because it is simply what they do not like. So her interview went viral because of her inability to define wokeism. She had also commented that only 7% of Americans consider themselves very liberal, which the key there is putting identifiers on something as saying very liberal. I would say that if you surveyed a large group of Americans and asked them if they were very conservative, you would get a very low number there as well. It's an extreme identifier, that very liberal. If you ask Americans who consider themselves to be liberal or conservative, you get larger numbers. Whereas if you ask Americans who consider themselves to be more left-leaning or right-leaning, you'd get even larger numbers. But she had tried to make it out like it's a very small group of people who agree with the wokeism she's talking about in her book. And looking at Gallup poll information, those identifying as conservative has fallen over the years. Currently, those identifying as conservative sits at 36%. That's a very large term, just generally conservative. because if you started asking people to break down what conservative means, you would get different answers. And so within conservative, which is a broad term, you have a large range, whereas if you ask people if they're moderate, like those identifying as moderate, sits at 35%. Those identifying as liberal is 25%, up from 17% years before. So the number of Americans identifying as liberal sits at 25%. Perhaps it goes down to 7% if you ask them if they're very liberal. Put that kind of qualifier on there. But you can look at this graph. This is from the Gallup poll. And I believe this poll said they had 18,000 respondents they had questioned with it. And it starts in 1992. It goes on up to 2020. Gray line at the bottom, those that consider themselves to be liberal, has been steadily increasing, whereas the light green line, conservative, has been pretty steady, dropping a little bit, and then those who are consider themselves moderate has been on a slow but steady decline. And the group that has been increasing is the group that considers themselves to be liberal. One of the reasons for that is because younger generations are quite left-leaning, as we saw in the 2022 midterm elections, and before that in the 2020 elections. Democrats outperformed expectations in the 2022 midterms, in large part because of the youth vote. Generation Z is very much to the left. And what we're seeing with the millennials is, as they age, typically you have people with the idea that when people are younger, they're more to the left. As they grow older, they move more to the right. And that has held true for older generations. Whereas your parents now, maybe they're in their 60s or 70s or 80s. And when they were younger, they were more left-leaning, more open-minded. And as they've gotten older, as they've gotten into retirement, and they're concerned about having enough money to last through their life, concerned about retirement, concerned about the crime rates. You have constantly the mainstream media fear-mongering about crime like it's out of whack. It's going through the roof. But if you look at crime as a factor of decades, it's steadily been on the decline for years and years and years. And crime is one of those things where some types of crime increases, some types decrease, some types stay the same. But overall, if you look from the mid-40s, crime has decreased significantly. But older generations have moved more conservative as they've gotten older. Millennials are not moving more conservative. They're staying more to the left. And that's one of the concerns that outlets like Fox News have. Their average viewership is above the age of 70. Their average viewer is above the age of 70. And you have people within the network concerned of their viewers dying off and their viewership dropping significantly as younger people don't grow older and into that conservative category. So Brianna Joy Gray asked the simple question of Bethany Mandel, which was to define what she was talking about with the idea of woke. When she failed to do it, Robbie Sove, her co-host, who is at least Republican, more to the right than Brianna Joy Gray. Brianna Joy Gray is a former campaign worker for Bernie Sanders. She is very much to the left. I would say to the left of the average Democrat, whereas her co-host leans more to the right, Robbie Sove, and he attempted to help Bethany Mandel out. as he started stumbling into trying to define wokeism. And he wasn't able to successfully do it as well. And Brianna Joy Gray went on to a later episode of the show to say she wasn't trying to present a gotcha question to Bethany Mandel. Bethany Mandel was using the term woke when going into describing the book she had co-authored. And Brianna Joy Gray wanted to stop her at the beginning and just define the term so her audience knew what she was talking about when she says woke. And it means nothing. I mean, historically, woke means being aware of long-standing and institutional disparities and racism, bigotry, what have you. And that's still what it means. For Bethany Mandel, it means an opportunity to make money. She wrote a book to take advantage of the fact that the term woke is such a buzzword on the right now. And I'm sure she will make a decent amount of money, particularly with this, even with this thing going viral and her looking buffoonish, because she wrote a book about something she can't define. Anyone with any decent intelligence would say that's not a book worth reading. If you can't define the term you're fear-mongering about in the book, then there's no point to the writing of the book to begin with. But that's the episode for today, just to bring up this humorous example of how the right wing falls into these periods where they have their boogeymen, some stay, some drop off. George Soros, the Clintons, Obama, those are boogeymen here to stay. Then there's the buzzwords like woke and wokeism. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, had proudly proclaimed that Florida is where woke goes to die. I would say Florida is where a bunch of old people go to die. Wokeism, it means nothing. For the right, it means whatever they do not like. For Bethany Mandel, the girl here, it means an opportunity to make money off of a currently popular right-wing buzzword. But thanks for watching. Stay woke. Have a good day.